So I'm here today to talk about that giant list of unpronounceable words, Gen AI, social media categorization, and really, how to categorize YouTube channels and generate both scores and summaries. So a little bit about Zefr. I will say in advance, some of these slides are Gen AI, this one is not, which is why it looks so terrible. So Zefr is a social media and tech measurement and optimization company. We utilize state-of-the-art AI technology combined with real-time social media knowledge to analyze content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube on behalf of advertisers. We help prevent advertisers from spending ad dollars on content they deem inappropriate, such as drugs, terrorism, misinformation, and some of the worst things I've ever had to see in my life, frankly. It is really quite appalling what is out there, and there are companies that might not want to sell their toy next to, this kind of content. It's really providing the world a service, making the world a better place. And using this, we are hiring. If you want to work with an insane amount of data and deal with all kinds of production problems, I'm an honest guy, what do you want? But it's very rewarding. It's fun people. Everyone's been here a very long time. I think the majority of the leadership is over 4 years experience. Most are like actually over 7, including myself. And Kyle, you're here at 11, 12? You stop counting at a certain point?
Yeah, it's double digits.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, where are we? The tech has stopped working. Great. Right there? Great. Okay, you will hit spacebar for me. Great. So, back to our Gen AI slides. So, what is the power of YouTube channel categorization? I've found that different LLMs have different personalities. They're trained on different data. If you're going to ask about YouTube, you probably would go ask Google. So I asked the latest and greatest Gemini 1.5, why would you categorize? And this is all pretty accurate. So we do targeting for marketing and advertising. We do want to reach specific audiences. We do provide market industry insights. You could do content management if you were actually, represent a creator trying to do something for them. And there's benefits, more effective marketing campaigns, data-driven decision-making, better content strategies, increased user satisfaction. I was pretty happy with this. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have Gen AI do all the slides for me because I'm busy. So, I'm gonna go back. Okay, so how does Zefr make money with channel categorization? That's actually the prompt that I put in. We have a solid business plan. We're going to categorize channels on YouTube, question mark, question mark, question mark, profit. For those of you who don't watch South Park, it is an inappropriate content. You probably should not watch it. Next slide, please. Okay, so hey, let's just go ask ChatGPT, what is Zefr and how does Zefr make money? So I'm going to introduce a little concept here. I hope most of you understand what precision is, but precision is pretty simple. It's what % did you get right. And we're like 60% correct here, and then there's I'll explain that, and non-embarrassing score. So this is a concept I'm going to introduce. LLMs can be extremely embarrassing. You'll give their output to a client, and they'll be like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense, right? So you're looking to create something to ship to production that is not going to get yourself fired as a CTO. Okay, here we go. So the first part is actually quite good. Zefr is a technology company known for providing video advertising services. The company specializes in contextual targeting technology for YouTube and other video platforms, enabling brands and agencies to place their ads alongside content that matches their brand's message and values without relying on traditional cookie-based targeting methods. That is so much better than what I wrote. So much better. Here's how Zefr typically makes money. Contextual advertising solutions. Yes, you want to go target sports on YouTube, we do that. Brand safety and stability. Yes, if you want to stay away from terrorism, we do that. Content monetization. Well, yeah, like you want to make money, we help you do that. Platform partnerships, integrations. I put it in yellow here. We don't really, that's not how we make money. If we didn't have the integrations, we wouldn't have a business though. So maybe the fact we have deals with YouTube and Meta and TikTok makes us money, but not really what I was asking for. Subscription service fees, absolutely not. This is not something we do. This was GPT-4 as of April 2023. So how do we fix this? So the trick is we want to pass in real-time events. Obviously, we're, at Zefr, we need to handle YouTube channels and TikTok videos, and the lifetime of some current events is like a couple of days. These LLMs are trained months ago. They do not have any knowledge of current events. They do have more generic knowledge that a tsunami is a bad thing, but they won't know that, a particular location got hit by a tsunami, right? So the idea behind RAG, for those who haven't been doing enough of these DataCon meetups, I guess, is to add information from the internet or your own internal data sources to massively improve quality. And we have a bunch of examples from Zefr that we use, and we'll use it later on in the example. So there is real-time platform metadata. This is stuff like, say, like the title or creator of a YouTube video. We have our own video level categorization scores. So we've been doing AI here for 7 years since I joined, and we have lots of legacy systems that look at images and transcripts and far more data than we're passing into the LLM. So we can pass in just those scores. We have misinformation analysis. LLMs are absolutely useless for misinformation. They're more likely to give it to you or create it, frankly. Example sales email templates. It's very good at this, frankly. We actually built a sales tool for this and put our sales collateral in and tell it to write a letter to, Steve Jobs, and it'll do it. It does know Steve Jobs isn't alive anymore. But anyways, content policy. So we can feed in our entire content policy, like what is sports, and it will do a very good job of answering questions if we feed in the entire thing. I put the exact definition for RAG, retrieval augmented generation, is the process of optimizing the output of a large language model so it references an authoritative knowledge base outside of its training data sources before generating a response. So let's try again. So we made a sales tool. We put in all our sales collateral. We put in, some documents about how brand safety works, and just dumped it into a custom GPT. And we asked again, exact same question, same GPT-4. It gets 100% correct. I'll skip most of it. So we do managed services. We have software solutions. We do measurement analytics. We do brand partnerships and integrations. And we do custom solutions and consulting. It's basically perfect, right? So if you add data to the LLMs in your prompt, it's not a 3-line prompt. It's, 100, 500 lines. And in fact, some of the newer stuff we're doing, we'll pass in 40,000 Taylor Swift videos and ask it to generate some topics about it. It does a very good job. That's Gemini 1.5 can do that next. So again, while it's the same Zefr sales email bot, how can we improve Zefr using LLMs? And there's lots of ways. In bold is what we're actually going to talk about, content analysis and brand suitability scoring. Yes. Enhanced misinformation detection. We have something for that, automated content categorization, customized client reporting, predictive analytics for campaign performance, enhanced query understanding for customer service, and content trend analysis. We do all of that. The content trend analysis is so cool. But I won't show you that today. Next. Maybe next time. Jeez. You have to leave the audience coming back for more. She used to work here. Now she's just trolling us. Anyways, first a word from your CFO. We actually don't have a CFO, but we'll pretend. LLMs are extremely expensive. If you're going to go generate scores for 3 million channels, that's going to be a lot. If you're going to go generate scores for 100 million new pieces of content a day, you're going to be bankrupt by the end of the month, if you make it that far. Well, I guess that's when your bill will come in. The other problem, of course, is you can't actually get the quota to do that because they know you'll never pay it. So there's a bunch of different options here. I definitely recommend starting off no code, just be a human, go use ChatGPT, or I need to update that as Gemini or Claude, whatever you want to do. You can take a off-the-shelf app. I really like Notebook LM. It's fun. You can link Google Drive, docs in. It just got updated to Gemini 1.5. It's actually quite good at really doing essentially the same things like the Zefr sales tool that I bought made as a GPT, but you can just link whatever Google Docs you have in it, and it just works. So it's super cool. You can build your own custom GPT, as I mentioned. That's really nice if you want to integrate like APIs. We've used it for like making little demo apps for some of our brand safety APIs, like a chatbot content moderation API. And of course, you can use code. And when you're doing that, there's a bunch of trade-offs you have to take into account. It's really all cost and quality, and self-hosting versus non-self-hosting. And frankly, on the self-hosting, getting the GPUs themselves is almost impossible. So that if you want really high quality, you're just not going to be able to do it. Absolutely, number one, you must ensure you have enough cash and quota before you begin, and certainly before you promise anything to your bosses, or you will be in bad shape. Next line. So I had these slides completely ready to go 2 weeks ago. They were out of date. And so this is the list of things I had to update since the last month and a half. That's a very accurate picture of me on the right side, frantically updating my slides yesterday. So there's actually really important information here. I would at this point consider GPT 3.5 obsolete. There are off-the-shelf solutions that are as good, and frankly, Gemini 1.5 Flash just destroys it, quality and pricing. It's 30% cheaper and like considerably better. It's almost like Gemini Flash is basically GPT-4 quality from beginning of the year, which is insane. So remember that number, right? So GPT-4, very expensive. It's $30 for 1 million input tokens, 60 million for output tokens. The rest of these are approximately relative to that. GPT-4 Turbo is 4 times cheaper than that. GPT-4o, which came out, was it just last week? I lose track of time, this stuff is so fast. 6 times cheaper and higher quality. So I'd actually probably consider GPT-4 and GPT-4 Turbo also borderline obsolete. Google Gemini 1.5 Pro is quite amazing at very long prompts. So it can handle 1 million tokens. We've tested it, it works well. And in preview, there are allegations that it can do 2 million tokens, which is really an insane amount. As I mentioned, 1 million tokens is 40,000 Taylor Swift video titles, if that gives you an idea.
Can we ask you a question?
Sure, lots of questions. What? Interrupt at any time.
When you say token, I think it makes more natural sense in terms of language or text, but what is a token in image?
Whatever they want it to be, frankly. So like a 10-second video it's different between webs, right? On Gemini was, I would say they called it like 4,000 tokens, because we were doing actual full multimodal tests on that. Image, I want to say, was about 1,000 tokens, where a token is a word or an emoji or like a kanji character. And almost any UTF-8 other than ASCII is going to be 1 token per.
Or a picture, for example.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, if you want to remember.
So essentially, you just use whatever embedding or encoder they provided you, then they'll quote you a token per image kind of.
Basically, like, yes. So presumably, they're using around 4 kilobytes-ish for an image-ish. But who knows? This is all super secret. Gemini 1.5 Flash. Now, this is really, really cool. We've had very good success with this. It came out last week. It is 90 times cheaper than GPT-4. It is similar quality to GPT-4. It is similar, almost identical quality to Gemini 1.5 Pro for shorter prompts. It is not quite as good, but I challenge you to prove it. I'll put it that way. We have proved it. It's not as good, but it's very close. And price matters, right? It's 35 cents for 1 million input tokens instead of $30. And when you're talking about, we're gonna go score 3 million channels, now we can do it every day instead of like once a week or once a month. So there's open source options. These are a pain to run, but you can run some of these on your laptop, or we have a fancy gaming machine in there that costs $40,000 that can run all of these. So Llama 3 came out a month ago. 5.3 is what, like 2 weeks ago, and 5.3 medium large yesterday. So again, I try and keep up to date as best I can. It's difficult. Polygamma is pretty cool. It's Google's open source image embeddings. Presumably it's what they're using for Gemini 1.5. We haven't fully experimented with it, but it looks promising. And then there's a bunch of helpers for this to make it easy for you to switch around, because honestly, you can't be changing your code every month. Even if it saves you 90x, right? So LangChain has been around the longest. Vertex AI is kind of nifty because you can spin up any of these open source models, or you can hit Gemini, or you can hit Opus. So you can all of those, everything except OpenAI, which apparently isn't open. Grok, which is it has some very fast hostings for like Llama 3, not to be confused with Twitter's Grok, which is their AI, and pronounced identically. We have Portkey.ai, so this is something we're testing out in RAG LLM. These are LM gateways. They handle prompt management and versioning and letting you have fallbacks, because we'll get to it, but the LLMs will sometimes refuse to talk about certain things that we needed to talk about, and so we need to go try a different one until we can trick one of them to talk about Taylor Swift and various horrible things said about her. I have a cool image in here, link in there that I can't play right here. Can you play it? Let's see if it works.
Where is it?
At the very top.
Current options?
Yeah, let's see if we can post it. So hopefully this will play. It'll play. So this is the ELO scores by company over time. This started a year ago. You see OpenAI at the top, just crushing everyone, and you can see about January, February timeline, things start popping up. You'll see shortly, Gemini 1.5 will pop up for Google right about there. So you can see basically the time delay. So you can look at GPT-4 has basically been matched by Google Anthropic, and I can't read the last one. And OpenAI has nudged itself a little bit better than it was before. Yes, go ahead.
This open source model provides much cost benefit than Gemini 1.5 or anything that's cheaper.
So I'll get to some scores and how we calculate this sort of thing. We have very difficult questions, okay? Not so difficult for humans, like, is this content LGBTQ? Okay, humans are like, yes, no, it's very simple. The machines aren't so good. So GPT-3.5 was sitting around F1 of 0.75-ish, okay? 5.3 medium, 0.71. And to be fair, GPT-3.5, we spent a lot of time to get it to there. These other ones, we were just passing in our content policy as is, no tweaks, just like dump it in. Gemini Flash was 0.78 out the door. And that's why I'm like, GPT-3.5 is like, I don't know why anyone would use it. It's not like good anymore. It has a very small token window. Like, it's just like, Flash is just much better. And all the open source ones are also like almost equivalent. And you can run on your laptop or even on your phone in some cases. So any other, go ahead.
Pretty much the performance-wise, they're almost like very similar to each other.
Yes, it's really hard to know because there's so many trade-offs. Some of the LLMs are very fast to generate. If you need like a real-time system, being able to generate tokens very fast is very useful. If you need higher quality, you need something else, you want lower price, there's something else. There's like batch versions, there's like a million different optimizations depending what you're trying to get at. So I don't want to say like 5.3 is not good, it's very good. And you can run it for super cheap, but can you run the same quota you get on like however many TPUs Google will run for you? No. Right? I think out the door you're sitting at like 350 requests a minute for Gemini Flash, which you won't be able, and that's, I think it's 10 million tokens for a minute, which you will not, you need a serious rig to pull that with any of the open source. So, I don't know, it's very difficult. And you can't get H100s anyway, so there's no real point, because you can't get the graphics cards you need to run these big models for the quality we need here at Zefr at least. That's not to say we won't try. We literally tried yesterday, so we definitely tried. But it wasn't quite good enough for this use case, but there may be other use cases.
Sorry,
Yep.
sorry to hold on. One question is over, but is that because of their kind of manipulating the rate limit on their system? So what if the open source model will be run faster than local and they provide a similar result, and then you increase the quality of the platform?
So Google put out a paper a year ago saying there was no moat and basically saying open source is going to win. That is probably true in the long run, as long as large companies like Meta are willing to burn money, which was the last slide. They are also burning money. I believe they're losing as much money as they take in. I think it costs $2 for $1 they make right now. So everyone will go broke eventually. But yeah, no, to your point, I literally don't know. I suspect they will win. If you go to the next slide, is it next slide? Oh, it's not the next slide.
One more.
Is it one more? Here we go. Well, I'm skipping a slide. So step one, you have to choose your LLM, right? We have Google over here, looking very fancy with the robots. We have Clippy 2.0 with the glasses, and we have the open source on the right side, trying to save the world with their doves. They look a little bit outgunned right now, but we'll see. Okay, go back a slide. There we go. Okay, the task. This is written in a sort of prompt style form, right? We're going to do channel summarization and categorization. As an LLM, your task is to upgrade our Zefr channel classification, providing explainable, high-quality results. You'll be judged by how embarrassed the CTO Zefr is of your response. Use the following protocol exactly. Plan your strategy, summarize channels, or a channel, categorize a channel, assess the quality, and then ship it to production. So, next slide. Oh, good job. This one's gonna be tricky. Okay. Step one, curate a small sample of difficult test cases. This is my favorite test case that was sent to me by a person at Zefr. And so this is a Spanish language, very analytical Dragon Ball Z channel that only talks about the anime, does not talk about the video games in any way. As far as I can tell, because I don't speak Spanish. So the task is write a channel summary, classify for various categories, including video games. And you can, hopefully most of you can look here, anyone who knows what Dragon Ball Z is, will be able to see this is a, anime, used to be kids cartoon, was, 20 years ago. We're not old enough, most of us, to remember this. So, they're flying around, throwing fireballs at each other and beating each other up. Okay, next slide. Oh,
we want to play it?
no, not play. Skip it. Okay, here we go. You're just over skipping. Step one, summarize, create a summary. I'm going to skip most of this, but Brahmadra leans heavily towards Video game anime, however, the classification might be considered controversial due to the broad and overlapping nature of the content related to the Dragon Ball franchise, which spans across various media, including video games. So it actually does a very good job knowing video games is going to be a controversial answer. Not everyone's going to agree. However, it does lean toward video game anime and has a bunch of explanation about it. So I'm like, okay, cool. My prompt is reasonably good. The LLM understands all the data I'm passing in. So I'm passing in some channel summaries, a bunch of video scores, video titles, right, of all the most recent content or most popular content, and asking them, hey, what is this channel about? And is it really about video game anime in particular? Okay, next. So here's the protocol for individual videos that we've used for a long time here at Zefr. So step one, so one more. You have to define all the categories. So we're going to talk about video games right now. Step two, we do human reviews. So humans go around saying video games, not video games on each individual video. We create a multimodal model. So we need a text model, image model, a video model, audio model, right? And basically use the combination of all of these to generate a good score for a video that is on YouTube that has metadata related to it, or in some cases, the metadata is completely irrelevant, which is always the challenge. Next. We assess the quality against the holdout set. So we run the model on, we train the model on, does everyone know what holdout sets are? Or do I just explain? I'll just explain. Okay, so when you do the human reviews, you take 10% of them or so, you stick them over on the side and say, this is the holdout set. No one's allowed to look at it except to judge quality of the model you create. So you take that 90%, you feed it into the magic black box, because I'm not a data scientist. Out pops a machine that says, hey, given this text or image, video game or not video game, 0.74, whatever. It gives a number between 0 and 1. Okay? You then argue with the humans about the edge cases because the machine finds a bunch of problems they had, and you're like, that's not video games, and the content policy people over here say, yes, it is, and we go about it. We convince the humans to follow the directions and follow the policy, and then we repeat until it's good enough. Okay, so that's videos. Channels is a little harder. Here we go, here we are. I love the picture on the right side. It's very difficult. We're trying to, we have buckets full of multicolored balls, and is this video games or not? Right, okay. So we're going to utilize the same categories from the videos, right? So maybe 2 of the 40 videos were about video games, hypothetically. Okay, we do human reviews on the channel. And next, and we create an LLM prompt to try and generate the scores that we want to categorize the channel as. We assess the quality against the holdout set made by those humans. We argue with the LLM about edge cases now instead of humans. And we try and convince the LLM to follow directions, and we repeat. So we've taken humans out of the loop, we're putting LLMs, and it's frankly more frustrating because they just are dumb and annoying sometimes. Okay, here we go, next. Here's a fun one. Combat sports is a matter of opinion. Is Dragon Ball Z combat sports? Do you show of hands? If you know what combat sports is, and it's Dragon Ball Z. Who says it's Dragon Ball Z is combat sports?
We got 1, 2,
2, 3, 4. So like 4 out of 50. So like you're looking for like an 8 or 10% score is what you're looking for. Turns out the LM did think it was combat sports, as there was people fighting, and it turns out, according to someone in the audience who I won't name, but I'll point out, there actually is full-on tournaments of combats, so it is kind of combat sports, which you wouldn't necessarily know. I certainly did not. What's the issue? Why is it giving the answer wrong? Are you giving it too much detail, too little detail? You're passing in like the wrong data for RAG. Your instructions are conflicting. You have different, like it's incredibly frustrating because the LM wants to be exactly precise. So if you say to do something A up here, and you say to do like A- down here, it's just going to blow up on you. Do you have typos in there? Is there some sort of current event that there's no way to know about? And there's a few fixes you can do here. You can adjust the prompt, you can adjust the RAG, you can try a different LLM, or we just agree to disagree and move on. which is what we did in this case, other than putting on slides because I find it amusing. Next. Okay, assess following directions. We wanted to generate JSON. This is
Yeah,
what?
that's definitely valid JSON.
That is about what the JSON looks like that comes out if you're having any issues. Do make sure the JSON is exactly what you want. If you have a missing comma or a stray comma, or you forgot to put quotes somewhere, or you did single quote instead of double quotes, it will do exactly what you said. And you'll be like, the LLM sucks, it's terrible. And then you'll spend 2 days looking at it, and then you'll be like, I'm terrible. Theoretically, someone did that. Okay, next. Provide a JSON template. This is how we have done it. There are other ways to do it. We provide JSON. We provide templates, not examples, because we were looking for very specific programmatic inputs. So provide clear instructions on how to fill out that template. You tweak it repeatedly until it works on every LLM you can try. If it works on GPT-3.5, and it works on GPT-4, and it works on Gemini, it'll probably work everywhere. And so you don't need to worry too much about future-proofing it in that state. And on that as well, you might find when testing particular LLMs that some of the RAG you're adding is being ignored by the LLM. You probably don't want to take it out if you think it would help a human, because at some point, 3 months in the future, a new LLM is going to come out, and it will be better if you provide that RAG. You don't want to like recode it and go tell your engineering team, hey, I need you to like put the video description back in because a new LLM can handle it and the old one can't. Okay, you repeat until mostly bug-free, and here's an example template. So there's a few tricks in here. One is, this is particularly useful for Gemini. Gemini really likes Markdown a lot. So you do a typical code block. You say it's JSON. You're passing a lot of like meta information to the LLM, so it knows very clearly what you're asking for. And you refer to it as we refer to it as a Markdown wrapped JSON template. And then use the same term in multiple places, like fill out the Markdown wrapped JSON template perfectly. And then, anyways, it's annoying. Okay, now up here, channel summary. You notice with the little dollar bracket, 3-sentence summary bracket, you can actually get it very detailed in here, and we actually will use this later, you'll see, to make it talk about exactly what you want, but not be super prescriptive about the exact vocabulary to use. The number signs we found very useful as a way to enforce type safety. Both there's no quotes around it, so it knows it should be a number. You're saying number signs, so it should be a number. You're saying 2 of them, so it should be 2 numbers. And sometimes they'll still put 3 numbers, but you do what you can. Next. So this is a quick and dirty way to do quality checks. So on the right-hand side, you'll see we have 3 columns. We have a channel URL. This is just Google Sheets. You can click it. And on the right side, we have the scores for kids and kids gaming. And you have a human click on the channel. And if it matches the score, you leave it white. If it doesn't match the score, if it's completely wrong, you put it as red. And if it's kind of okay, you put it as yellow. And your goal is to get as much red out as possible and then try and reduce the yellow. The yellow is generally the non-embarrassing, the Dragon Ball Z is combat sports type of stuff. It's sometimes policy differences, sometimes just it doesn't understand, but it's good enough. Okay, let's, so the goal is to create a non-embarrassing prompt template. You evaluate the categorization based off LM summarization. So there's one extra step in here. There's one column in here that says what the channel is about. That is all in text. And if your channel summarization is good, you actually don't even have to click on the channel necessarily. You can just look at the channel summarization to make sure the score matches the channel summarization. It actually will speed things up dramatically. Okay. From this, you can now create a holdout set. for the actual ones that are like exact matches, true and false. You've got the categorization of the actual channels, and you can create a precise content policy based off you looking at what actually came back for kids gaming, for example. And try and achieve consistency on the maybes, that either you tweak the policy or you fix the prompt or use a better LLM, frankly. And you store the results in a holdout set. At that point, you have a way to evaluate other LLMs, new prompts, and it's as close as you can get to the way data scientists have done it in the past, so they like it more that way. You can also track precision, recall on F1 over time. Navigating the challenges. If you look closely at this, this is hallucinations in inappropriate content LLMs. LLMs are not perfect. They will create horrible things for you. Go to the next slide. Here we go. We asked, on the right side, asked Gemini 1.0 for an anti-smoking campaign. It's supposed to be a robot putting a cigarette out. That was probably the most inappropriate image I've seen. Until today, I tried, click one button, I tried GPT-4 or 5, and it's just as bad, if not worse. Although the first one, they definitely looked cooler and happier. There we go.
All the robots look cool.
Yeah, but the other one's like smiling. He's really happy about smoking. This guy just tries to look like cool. Like,
Gonna
just
take
like
your cigarette.
he might. He's actually chain smoking. He's like on cigarette 4. Okay. So LLMs are not perfect. You know, assume what they create will be perfect. Some of the issues you will need to consider: it will create inappropriate content, despite being told specifically this is anti-smoking. It generates this. This wasn't even trying. I literally first try. Okay, this is not. You can go try it yourself. It is not difficult at all to make something terrible like this. It has stale knowledge, as I mentioned. It can be very expensive. Typos, you just saw. Anyone paying attention? There's lots of typos in all the text that gets created by the image processing. So that it's so bizarre for a human to look like. This is the most amazing artwork generated in 5 seconds I've ever seen, except it can't spell LLM correctly. You're like, what? Okay. Extra fingers. This one doesn't have extra fingers, so the LLMs, I guess, are better. But the other one did. Non-repeatability, you can't ever make this image again, and our data scientists really hate we can't generate the same scores every time we pass it through. And even if you decide to really try and set the seed value and you're going to use this specific model, now you're out of date 2 months later when the new LLM comes out. So you're just sort of stuck. Luckily, humans don't make the same decisions either, so your holdout set will also be stale regardless, so it doesn't really matter from my perspective. Technical issues, oh God. All kinds of stuff. Incorrect JSON, refusing to talk about things, just going off on weird, we ask JSON, out pops bullet points, and we're like, okay. So we've addressed a lot of this, or in the middle of addressing it right now, with an API gateway that automatically handles fallback in the case of errors, with JSON validation, so regex style, make sure that the output matches what we need. This is my favorite image I've ever created. It is definitely inappropriate, but this is the robots, the LLM's interpretation of LLM saving humanity from itself. So the LLM channel quality project was developed in record time. Feedback from content policy sales and most of my clients has been overwhelmingly positive. Use cases for LLM are popping up everywhere we look, and now I get to do a demo, which is super cool. Everyone comes for the demo, right? Hopefully I'm still logged in. Oh, okay. So this is our sales demo for trying to sell targeting for customers. So you might want to target a person. And this explains everything we do about it. This is marketing stuff no one cares about in this room. So we're gonna go over here and click around a little bit to go quickly. We're gonna do an inclusion list, so we just want a list of channels that matches what we're talking about. Does someone want to give me someone to target, or I can type it out myself? I'll type it out myself.
Black Dahlia murder fans.
What?
The Black Dahlia murder fans. The Black Dahlia Murder is a melodic death metal band from Detroit, Michigan.
You are making this way too hard. Black Dolly Murder.
Dahlia, D-A-H-L-I-A. H is before the L. Yeah, so D-A-H-L-I-A, and then take that H at the end.
You know I don't have to spell correctly, right? Just to, there we go. I'm not gonna listen anymore. Okay. It's just like, give me the hardest thing ever. Okay, who like to dance and eat ice cream when they travel around the country scaring kids.
Metal themed burgers. So, and honestly, like the guys are pretty swell lads. So they're heavy metal, but they're also like.
It fixed it.
Yeah.
Magic.
That's my very.
Okay, here we go. We're targeting Black Dahlia murder fans. This is a Zefr case study. I'm not sure we want to. No one screenshot this. No, this isn't being recorded, is it? Okay, primary categories include music. The enthusiasts often like music, documentaries, travel and tourism, food and cookie, dance. Exclude children's entertainment because y'all are crazy people. Exclude gaming because it said to specifically talk about travel and food and dance. And stay away from religious because it's too controversial, and avoid combat sports. And let's include some arts and craft, history, mystery, and thriller, comedy, social good. Write a summary. This is, there are people whose jobs it is to write this stuff. They call it strategy people, and my wife says this would take them probably weeks to do. Okay, so yes, here comes the list of channels. This is a global list. Not surprisingly, music has way too many views. It's too boring, so let's just take it out. Okay. Life with Susie. I have no idea what this. All things yoga. Okay, this is the official YouTube channel description over here. Is the LLM description. The Life with Susie channel primarily discusses yoga, health, and fitness with topics including yoga poses, stretching, and relaxation techniques. And it's very likely to contain health and fitness content due to the focus on yoga and stretching. Some people may consider the channel to be about travel due to the inclusion of videos about yoga in different locations. The content on this channel is appropriate for all ages and typically watched by adults. There are scores over here. They are all very good. I am not going to click on any of them because I did not include a brand safety filter on this request. So that's basically the demo. Does anyone have any questions?
What are the categories you mentioned, like combat sport, sports, video game, music, are predefined by your template, or?
Oh, you mean how did the magic work that it did? Oh, so it's actually, so as I mentioned, this is all about providing like a markdown template, right? So I'll go back and do something a little more reasonable.
No, I mean, even going back a little bit.
Which part?
To your original.
Okay, yeah,
presentation,
okay.
say, You want to say the task is to categorize or classify whether this channel or the video game channel is about video, about sports, about music. Does the tag exist outside of the whole exercise? Or
So basically the way it works is up at the top, you say you're working for Zefr and you're doing, channel categorization on behalf of global advertisers. And then here's the definitions of a bunch of things that you want, and one of those is, say, combat sports. And you describe our definition of combat sports as this. You can make it as detailed as you want. The smarter the LLM, the better it works. If it's a dumb LLM like GP3.5, make it as dumb as possible and just say it's combat sports.
So basically, you don't have a pre-defined vocabulary or.
No, we have a system entirely for this. So we basically iterate through template changes to until we get sort of the quality we're looking for. A more advanced version than just like the Google Sheet thing I was showing. And so typically how it works is like who you are, here's like the definitions of what you're going to do, here's like high level what the task is, here's the actual, here's all the data, right? And the entire prompt is given in Markdown format. And at the very bottom is like, okay, now here's the final output. You need to have, here's the exact JSON template, and here's some verification steps to do before you output it.
I think I followed that part.
Yeah.
The main question is whether this is a predefined list of classes you want to talk about, or you want to open that up to your client completely, freehand and say they want to define a very niche category.
We can do the niche category, but it's not in this system.
Correct.
This is just a sales demo to show how easy it is to, like, how we map their request. Mm-hmm. And you can literally paste any, like, RFP or, like, literally anything you want in there. Like, we tested one for, like, targeting bipolar people, and it basically was better than the one we did by hand because the person who did it by hand misread the brief.
Right.
Like, it's actually quite crazy how good it is.
Sorry. The reason I'm asking is that, it has implication on whether you want to fine-tune the model, as you said, from those off-the-shelf ones, or if you want to really do a improvisation style, right, then you don't have the chance to do pre-training or fine-tuning. You have to basically rely on whatever the model is capable of doing.
Yeah, so even with fine-tuning, we're still trying it out, but there's a decent chance that it can at least learn that we're doing categorization.
Right.
Right, so we still haven't tested it, but there is a Gemini 1.5 to Gamma 27 capability within Vertex AI that theoretically might work and might be cheaper, but all this is just like, things came out 2 weeks ago, and I'd love to tell you what our results are, but I literally have no idea. I think in the back first, and then yeah.
Do you guys, so within kind of like a feature store, do you guys, like, is that centralized like in Snowflake, where if you are basically A/B testing these things and say, oh, this prompt is better than this prompt, is that recorded somewhere so you guys can basically present the best prompt?
We record all that in places that eventually end up in Snowflake. We have a variety of, we do use like Elasticsearch / OpenSearch. We have various vector databases. We have
Postgres.
we do still use Postgres, yes.
Postgres
All over the place.
adding vector support.
We don't use it
If you
though.
don't feel like adding it.
I thought they already had it, but maybe they've improved it.
Somewhere out there.
I wanted to ask you if Zefr is using any cloud-based service models in order to function, and if you are, which ones would it be?
So we use OpenAI, we use Google, Vertex AI, we use AWS, of course, as well. GCP, we do find GCP to be the cheapest and most available lower-end GPUs. You run spot instances on the T4s and L4s, which are pretty critical for the scale we have. They do get reaped occasionally, but we can
So
handle that.
you guys are using like because I assume, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're using their platform as a service model as opposed to like you running the infrastructure?
So most of it we're running Kubernetes ourselves. Some things we do, it's a very complicated question. We have a very,
Are you using software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service?
we do Terraform and full CI/CD and full, fully automated security checks and all kinds of things if you mean that. But if you mean, like we're not using like the Vertex AI, like auto build, we're not using like AutoML that Microsoft has or SageMaker. We have used them in the past. Hopefully those are shut down now. I need to go check. But we may be burning money on them. But it's because of the scale we have to deal with and the 100 million times 200 like scores we have to generate, there's just no way for like a managed service to really, the only systems that exist to handle that are internal to like these big companies.
Are you
So-
ever concerned about vendor lock-in?
All the time. Like just switching some of our stack from AWS to GCP is like taking a year, but it's a lot cheaper. So.
Do you run into like AI, for lack of a better word, like safety issues where it will sort of nerf the output for certain channels or videos?
Yes, quite a bit.
Do you like change what you're like, which API you're using, or do you
So-
phrase the prompt, or yeah?
What we're moving towards, so Gemini 1.5 is probably the pickiest, but it's also the cheapest. So we like cheap, but we're going to use. It looks like we're going to try, assuming they'll accept our legal requirements, portkey.ai, which does include a self-managed system that will handle like automatic fallback. So if Gemini refuses to talk about it, or it doesn't generate JSON, or it doesn't like make the markdown that we want, or the video IDs aren't real because it's hallucinating, we can go try OpenAI or Claude. And it actually lets you have different templates for each one, like prompt templates if you want each one. There's prompt versioning and some other cool stuff. It's fairly cheap compared to, because you're thinking about building it ourselves, we're like, there's no reason this stuff is like very cheap right now.
Yes, you mentioned GPT-4 just came out about a week, and it's claimed to be a natively Latin model. And you mentioned that your current pipeline is doing the, classification of whatever LLM has one model at a time, although it could be in parallel. Maybe you think I'll move to that multi-model all-in-one.
So Gemini Flash is the cheapest out there for doing that. It's 1 cent for every 10 seconds. Okay. Go multiply that by 50 million a day.
Nice.
Okay. Like it's not possible, and that's for 10 seconds. Like it probably costs us millions of dollars a day, 100 million a month or more to actually run that, right? So one of like Zephyr's like main like IPs is being able to take these LLMs and other methodologies and distill it down to, we'll call it older, much cheaper baby LLMs, whatever we call it.
We used to call them LMs back in the day.
SLMs,
They weren't even small language models. It was just language models.
this language model. Had a question in the back. I think you were first.
Yeah, I think it's a really good presentation, especially the demo. I appreciate that. I guess my first question is, did you say, I don't know if I heard right, that sometimes you have problems with the LLMs not wanting to answer certain questions?
Yes.
And if so, like, do you have any tips or tricks for getting around that?
In our case, usually if you just ask for the score and don't ask it to explain itself, the quality goes down slightly, but it will give a score for inappropriate content. It will not talk about it though. It's just like,
Right.
and you have to realize we're asking, like, we're passing in, like, you know, current events and TikTok stuff and all kinds of just inappropriate content. Things I can't talk about. The same reason Gemini wasn't talking about it, the same reason I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, but yeah. Oh, no, YouTube is actually, like, very clean. At least the monetized stuff, because they have actual rules around what gets monetized.
And I was just curious with the sales demo.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ultimate like business benefit is that you're getting a super fast prediction based on what they're looking for in terms of to like the example you used, right? Like, I'm just curious, is there a significant benefit to that if that's
So there's two things about it, right? Number one, the ability to just type whatever you want or copy paste in a brief and like outspits a very reasonable like explanation of why to do particular content targeting is useful, okay? You click to the next thing, you actually get LLM channel summaries that are accurate and updated fairly frequently. So you don't have stale versions. The LLM scores are high quality, and the scores that are in the middle between 25 and 75 are typically mixed content. Okay, so like, is Mr. Beast in video games? Well, like, he has some video games, but he's not like, I mean, what do you, like, I don't know. It gives like a 40, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't know what the, like, there's no good answer other than not 1 and not 99, right? But ESPN comes back as 99, it's sports, right? So like, that's the kind of like, from the customer's perspective, right, this is like the first in the industry. They've never seen this before, and it really gives confidence that Zefr is using state-of-the-art technology, not just for this, but everything behind the scenes, right? So it's not just as cool and useful, although it really is. Like, and we can do the same stuff with custom categories, so you can ask whatever, I want to target whatever that weird death thing is. Thank you for that. Which I'd never heard of before. And you can make a custom one on that, like how close is it to that? Is he offended? I'm sorry, I was just kidding. Go ahead. I'm sure it's cool. What? You're saying?
Is there any way to measure with those LLM, specific model that journey or, customer value or something like that? I mean, the model itself, you can use it categorize it, and you can score by, and understand by human, but any correlation with the, business metrics?
Yes. It has closed numerous business deals. It's probably, it's a very, I don't know what I can say. It's extremely effective, I'll put it that way. Not just because it looks cool, but also because the scores are better than what we had before and matches more closely how a human would score. LLMs are very good at summarization, and so channel summarization is like right up its alley. And frankly, even if you disagree with one of those scores, you will click the channel and you'll doubt your own judgment because there's 10,000 videos on that channel, and if the LM says one of them has a kid climbing a tree, like, it's probably there, but you don't know. It could be hallucinating. But that problem will go away. They're getting much better very quickly, and so really, as engineers, you should be building for the future, passing in the data to the LM that a human would want to make the decision, right? Even if the LM's not smart enough to handle it today. Just like future-proof and just like pass in the extra stuff. It might cost you more though because you paid by the token, so be careful. Any more questions?